when you pull up on a nigga and stretch like. You know what I mean? When you pull up on a nigga and you flex on a nigga that's considered a god, then everybody eyes open up. Daylyt was just Daylyt prior to Rock. Danny was just Danny prior to Rock. And it's just
To
facts.
niggas that don't
That's a
know,
fact.
because Daylyt could have did that to majority of every nigga in URL,
Like,
sir.
yeah, like
Because
Come on, man.
Daylight's name. All right,
The shit
man.
he did, the shit he did, Rock, he could have stepped on that stage against anybody you name, top tier, and did the same shit and put on the same performance, man. Like it wouldn't have
he
stopped
could
shit,
have,
and it
he
would have
could
But
looked
have,
he
but
just
you
as
know.
didn't.
bad.
So my
It,
thing is,
and the only reason it didn't look as bad is because Rock held his own. Every nigga can't stand in front of them bars like Rock. So that's that right
so
there
my
kind of
Yeah,
question
tells
if
is,
you.
Rock didn't,
with
that
that
was like
pin
the
being
best
so
3 rounds
scary,
of Rock
with that
ever.
pin being so scary and so elite, why have we not seen that on multiple
Because
occasions?
niggas don't want to get in
Like
the ring
on a
I
with
was
that
saying,
and
hey, how
show
come?
that.
I think Surf
How come?
for
How come he
me
wasn't like that in front
personally,
of Los?
it would his first round versus Los is better than all
His
3 of his Rock rounds. I
his
don't.
first round
You
was,
can
was,
you
was,
can
was
you can you
first
can
round was
blame it
crazy.
on whatever. We don't have to give him the excuse of losing. I don't know
right.
what would happen in the 2 and 3, but his first for Los was better than all 3 of his Rock
Right.
rounds.
His first
I
round
just
was
feel like
dope. But
I feel like if you're a top tier, like if you're elite or you a god pin battle rapper, all that, right? And let's say you got 20 battles, and if you got 20 battles and that's 60 rounds, shit like that. If you got 30 battles and that's 90 rounds, like for Daylyt to be who Daylyt is, bro, Daylyt has about 8 rounds that we could talk about in general. Like compared to some of your top tier niggas 20 and 25
hey,
and
Green,
18 and 19. Like
But
respectfully,
he moved
if you're a
moving
real
fast
battle
though.
rap fan, you'll be honest to say that Daylyt has about 7 classic rounds. How many compared to how many battles he got? All 3 of his rock shits. His first one versus Los. You could take like 1 or 2 from his chillin' shit. Other than that, it start getting real blurry.
You
Hitman, you
should
damn
never
near could
know
take
Green
because what
Dollar,
every
what you
gotta
say,
give
you
Hitman, you
Dollar.
damn near could take every first from every battle. Kayshawn, you damn near could take any round from 2 years
Oh
straight.
my God, yo.
Like, you know what I mean? It's
surf,
some niggas
Hitman
like
surf. So
first.
when you
y'all
say
let his
surf, when
I'm
you
allure,
with you.
say
It's
y'all let
really
his
if you're
allure elevate him over a lot of
Hey,
niggas
Green,
that
yeah,
Green.
well it's
ain't
career
proven to
highs.
keep up with.
Like I said, at least speaking for myself, it's career highs and capabilities. Like I won't like the consistency, I won't argue and stuff.
at
But
all.
as far as the best that I've seen, that 3 rounds he had versus Rock, fuck him doing it again. That's the best shit I ever seen.
I
Three
mean,
complete
especially,
rounds.
I
I
was just
say
saying
like it's niggas that
After the
yo, it's
Rock
niggas
battle.
that's like saying if we go into basketball, right? And a nigga like Paul George average 27, 31, whatever, he just always consistently do this. And then you get Fred Van Vliet to give you a crazy 67 one night, and you just never get that 67 from him again. I'm not fixing my face to say Fred is better than Paul. I'm sorry. A nigga like Tay
At
Rock
all.
does this like what Tay Rock did against what Tay Rock just did against Light. He also had that type of energy against him, Twerk having a classic, him and Charlie having a classic. You know what I mean? I'm not about to elevate Light's pen over Tay Rock because of what he did against Rock once when Rock
His
does that
pen?
all the time.
Okay, okay. So ask
You
you this:
say
with
you said
that,
you're
with
not
that
elevating
same,
Rock's pen over Daylight's?
with
Listen,
that,
because my thing, listen, because when y'all say pen, y'all are literally talking about word for word what he's writing. So yes, he wrote dope shit against Tay Rock. What I'm saying is, I'm not. To me, that's not exciting because that's like somebody writing. Let's say if you got authors, right? And a person is a best-selling author one time, and then you got another and now that one book sold more than somebody else's
But
25 books, but he got 25 books that's best-selling. You can't write
but
better
we're
than
not
me. I don't,
no, but we're
that's
not
my opinion.
but that's like
but
no,
you
no, and
got
I
niggas
hear you,
like,
but
on you
we're
on that
not
too,
gonna
sir.
act
Wait,
like
wait. Do you
that's
get
his
what I'm saying
only.
before you argue it though? Like if you had one book,
I
like let's say you
No,
wrote a
I
book
get
and
what you're saying, but I don't think
sold
Daylight
five
has
million
one
copies,
book.
right? And I got
right.
25 books and they sold 3.2 million copies. And they like we both national best-selling artists though. You're not about to tell me Daylight's pen is better than Rock's because he had one book that sold more when Rock got 23 of those that sold less. But
No, I
no,
get what you're saying,
But
but Daylight
but
doesn't have. Hold on, bro. Daylight doesn't have one book. Rock
but he
is his
doesn't have
best.
7.
Yes, he does. He doesn't have 7 comparable to Rock's books, but that's not their pen
Okay,
going
so
pen
okay,
for pen.
give me 8. So give me 8 classic Daylight battles.
Charlie Clips, Chilla Jones,
For him to be top tier, you already slow with the every top
Cortez,
tier nigga you
Rich
could run them, but keep
Dollars,
going. Charlie Clips,
Cortez, Rich Dollars. I think him and 40's kind of a classic. Him and
Bro.
Oops is a classic,
you
low
just
key.
naming shit now. Like
Are we
yo, you
naming
know we a
classics
culture
or
that
names?
you mean to tell me Daylyt versus Oops is a culture classic.
If you fuck with battle rap, yeah.
I wouldn't say the whole battle as much as just the third.
But
Like,
but sir, if
I
you got
wanted to
niggas
say
out
it, but
here
I didn't
writing
want to be
horrible
the one to make
books
it
though,
seem
bro.
like I'm hating because I respect that we got Daylyt fans and not even just
Just
Daylyt. Like
combo.
that's why I like to be the devil's advocate with shit because it's like we get these fans in here that like you get to talking like and big your favorites up. But there's levels to this shit though, bro. Like y'all being here comparing motherfuckers that in reality is not comparable. Y'all better pull up Daylyt verse tracker versus Rock verse tracker. Like
I don't think, but having
Hey, I think Rock got the most classics.
but Rock having more classics than first of all, I never argue that Rock got the most classics ever. But Rock having more classics than Daylyt has no correlation to their pens.
also,
Ken.
to me
JC
it
don't
Daylyt,
does
got
to,
no
to me
classics.
it does
Rock
to
is a
me it
great
does
battle rapper,
because
by the way.
you guys keep bringing up the level that Daylyt reached when he battled Rock. So I say this: Rock also reached the level when he battled Daylyt. So now
Not pen wise.
when they bat, that's cat. That's cat.
Come on. What?
What?
Nah, Rock. Nah,
This Surf. Come on,
Come
bro.
on,
nah,
sir.
I'm
Wait,
bro.
cool
wait.
with
What are
you
y'all
saying
saying?
it's
I
not as
didn't
good,
say.
but
I
this
didn't
pen?
listen. I did not say that their pins matched. Y'all not listening to me. What
Okay,
I
so you
said
saying
was,
Tay Rock
hold on.
elevated to the
I
highest
said,
Tay Rock level.
Hold
I
up.
said exactly. Daylyt elevated to a level in that battle, and Tay Rock elevated to a level in that battle. Right? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
when I step back,
100%.
so now when I step back and I look at Daylyt elevating to that level again, it isn't seen. But when I step back and I look at Rock, I've seen that type of Rock on multiple occasions. So now when I want to speak on pins, that's why I know y'all don't understand my being an author theory. If somebody writes a national best-selling book and they make one or two or three of them and they sell 5, 6, 7 million, and then I got another artist, another author who didn't sell 5, 6, 7 million, but they have 23 of them, 24 of them. I'm going to say the person with 24 books at 3 million is better. So that level that y'all talking about of Daylyt is a one of one or a
Nah,
one of
but
three.
Surf. Nah, but like, so
Okay,
what
but
you're saying?
last week,
Now,
sir,
hold
if
up.
you
What
gave
you're
a
saying about
comparison
the
about
books?
sports, bro.
Hold up. Hold up. What you're saying about the books is right, Surf. But when you're writing a book, all you got to do is write the book. When somebody goes up and gives a performance, they got to have the pen, then they got to rap it, then they got to deliver it right, then they got to
The
perform,
conviction.
then they got to work the room, then it matters how good their opponent is, then it
What
matters how
does
good the
okay? So what
environment
does this?
is.
So
So
well,
Rock can
no,
have
what I'm
25
asking,
classics, not have a good pen at all. He has a pen, but he could
what
have
I'm
had
at no,
25
what
classics
we're
without
not
one.
we're not it's not we're not refuting whether he has a pen or not. What the argument is this is again what we're talking about is how I'm judging if somebody has it. All I'm saying is how I'm judging if somebody has a better pen or not. You're looking at it how eloquently Daylyt can put in the word wall rock with you can put in because
You
Daylyt
all
can
right with
say
me.
wall right with you wall right. You think his pen is better when I look at it like Tay Rock does this all the time. So if Daylyt could
But
go,
he doesn't do that on
Daylyt
a
came
pen
up here and
level.
said it
Rock's
himself.
never said nothing like that.
That doesn't really see like I'm just to me that's like as me being a fan that's not really skill like I could expect that from a 40 bar like you all right and you wall right is not like the
That's a
Expect
craziest shit
what
in the
from
trans
40
world.
but
bar?
that's a transition bar. Like, if I say the whole bar, you get the message, Rock, you all right with me, but it's Cairo physics. See what I did there? Hieroglyph. Even if Rock triangles, he's still a
I
Like
pyramid
that
said
tier.
whole
Rock
no,
has
scheme,
never said
though.
nothing. I'm the
I'm
biggest
not
Rock fan in the world, sir. If you just see me got him followed by
taking
300
away
people for
from
him.
I'm not
He's
taking
never
away
said
from
nothing like
what was
that.
said. The way you listen, for one, the way someone's lines constructed is subjective. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like
I can
the
agree.
you know what I mean? Like the way somebody put their lines together is subjective. So if you saying Rock never said something like that, that's totally fine. What I'm saying is if I have somebody, let's just use numbers. If I see somebody or a vertical, if I see somebody jump, like we're talking about somebody, you know the little vertical things that they do in the NBA, and I see a nigga run and jump and hit a 44 vertical. And then but every other now he did that once or twice or three times. But then I see somebody that can literally do that all the time, and you ask me who's the better jumper, I'm gonna pick the person that I see that like you. What you won't accept is like, dog. Daylyt has been on URL one time. We've seen Tay Rock do that countless amount of, and like you just said, you made the point yourself. It's per person, per performance, per argument. So with that
Facts.
being said, we seen Tay Rock do that against Charlie Clips Part 2. We
But
seen
not
Tay
pen
Rock,
wise.
huh? So
That's
what?
what
So
he,
like
I've
that's what I
never
don't
seen
like
Tay
about
Rock
y'all.
write
Like,
something
so
super
listen. So
intricate like that.
okay. So the intricacy of a bar. So now uh let's say with Tay Rock saying that antonyms and synonym. Well, yeah, antonym is where I'm sending them to a lyrical battle rap nerd. What you just said about the wall right shit is just as lyrical to a gangster nigga when he hear them antonyms and synonyms bar. That's lyrical to a street nigga. So for
Uh,
you being a
I feel like that
square and
resonates. That
not square,
lyrical is not really subjective, I feel like.
lyrical is
But
very
that anonym
subjective
and
because there's
synonym
some niggas
bar
that
is
don't want to.
what's
It's some niggas that don't give a fuck about what Talib Kweli's saying and think Jadakiss is the most lyrical nigga in the world. So lyricism
But
is
that's
subjective.
receiving. That's
That's why,
receiving what they're
and
saying,
you're
though. That's not
agreeing
the
with what I'm
actual
saying. That's
lyricism,
why I'm saying that being a
right?
fan is subjective to it. Because if I'm a square, and I mean square, I mean that not like in not a disrespectful sense. I mean like 9 to 5, normal, not into
Right,
extra
right.
shit.
I got you.
So if I say wall right hieroglyphics, and I'm looking at it like that because of how I receive it in my life and what I think is, and now you take a street nigga and he say antonyms and synonyms. Yo, yeah, antonym is where I'm sending them. That might be the most lyrical thing in the world to him.
No,
So
that's
with
the I. But it be that
so
doesn't. I
with
don't
that
know
being said,
lyrical though. It could just be the dopest shit to him. But how does
okay. So
that?
now my
Because it
question is,
resonates with him,
my
it makes it
question
more
is,
lyrical.
with you saying that, it makes my argument. So are you telling me that there's people that can't argue that they feel like Jadakiss is more lyrical than Talib Kweli?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Like, and like,
so
not
I
even
mean
being funny. Like, it's some people that when
I
they
think
listen to
that's.
top,
I can see what you're saying with that. I think that's a bit extreme because battle rap's kind of all the same subject matter and or
no, it's not because yo, listen.
topics.
right,
As
you
much as
just
you
show
like,
sort
as
of that
much
it's
as you like
levels.
Daylyt, it's niggas listening to him that feel like he's speaking Spanish.
Right, but that's like that's subjective and that's people's ability to receive
The
it and
same
or
thing
how it
with us. The
resonates with
same
them.
thing with like Talib Kweli and the Jadakiss per se.
But like, okay, so
Well, the whole
when I'm
coast
saying that,
speaking
so
Spanish,
when I
so that
said, and
shit.
I want to move on to everybody else. We kind of got our bars off.
Right.
But when I'm talking about like the pen part, like there's things that aren't subjective to lyricism and writing and literacy overall. Like if I compare the antonyms and synonyms, that's basic reiteration and wordplay. Where he's like the wall right Cairo, there's multiple entendres in
For
there
sure.
and mnemonic schemes and devices
That's what
and
For
I'm
stuff.
saying.
sure.
So
Levels,
it's a
right?
different level of lyricism objectively, is
I'm a
what I'm
that listen,
saying.
and I'm with you with that, and I'm with you 1,000%. And then when you take it to that angle and you want to use that like mnemonics and things like that, that's when I say, okay, I've still. So now you take that, and I say, I'll rather. Let's say if that was a 60-point game for Daylyt, right? Now, when we want to start comparing pins, if that was a 60-point game for Daylyt, I would still rather take Tay Rock's 47, 50, 52, 45, 53 all season long as opposed to Daylyt. That's what he tricks you, some of you guys with. He'll disappear for 3 years, then pop back out and do what he did with Rock, and it'll sound like hieroglyphics on the wall. To whereas you got
Oh,
other
we
people
not doing
who are
it.
where you
But I'm
got some
saying
other.
though, how many? Once again, sir, how many niggas really
We
gonna
just
step
talked
in
about
front
the
of him?
same thing with Rum Nitty though, bro. Like, and when y'all was using Rum
Rum
Nitty,
Nitty go
it
way
was a
more
total.
And I
Listen,
did, and I didn't even agree with that one because
when
when
we
I
But
just
talk
used
about
Rum Nitty, it
that,
was a total different argument. Rum
so to
Nitty's the
use
best puncher so much that he punches so good that we downplay his punches because he do it so much.
not Surf, it's like okay, but
y'all
what
ain't
we're
even talk
talking about,
about
like
that
you're
second round.
with your
Man,
example,
but
right? Surf, it's like okay, Daylyt just had the 70-point game or whatever, but Rock's averaging 30 a night every night. But when we're talking about pens, it's like I don't care if Rock averages 30 a night if he don't hit no threes. Daylight's a straight shooter.
Facts.
Eh,
Facts.
I don't like. I'm like again. I
But do you still not respect the
Like
30 a night
I'm
though?
just no, I
That's what I'm saying.
do.
Like
But
I
if
don't
we're
get it.
talking, I
Like,
have Rock over Light all
and then
time
we not
from the
even talking
jump.
about
That's not even a
30. Like
combo.
that's what I'm saying, Jinx. We not even talking about 30 because I like
Exactly.
to look at it from a fan point, like stepping aside, like some of the things that
Oh,
Rock
here we go. Let's go.
right, some of the things that Rock is doing, right? Like when you look at what Rock just did with Twerk, we talking about win, lose, or draw. We just talking about our entertainment factor. So let's say again, if we talking about Western Conference basketball, when Russell got a battle, got to play a Trey Young one night. Then the next night he got to play against Lillard. The next night he got to play against Steph Curry. The next night I'm going to respect Russell having to play that schedule every single night or every other
Damn, Judy,
weekend,
you got me
as
out of here.
opposed to Clay, as opposed to a nigga pulling up Lillard. Pulling up and ain't balled in 2 months and come and give niggas 54. First of all, anybody that knows sports, the hardest nigga to guard is the nigga we ain't seen all year.
Facts.
How easy it is.
Facts.
You know how easy it is to
I'm with
stop
you.
Steph. Like if Steph Curry has to play every night, I get to watch him
Yeah.
constantly for us to draw up how to stop him.
It's the same reason they
If
I
put
I
just
ain't
want to
Taysom
seen the
say
nigga,
Gray.
Hey
if
yo,
I
hey
ain't seen
yo,
the nigga,
hey
for a
yo.
if
second
I
I
ain't
thought my
hold on,
gray light senses
hold
were
on. If I
working.
ain't seen the nigga in 3 years, do you know how hard it is to defend him when it's time to guard him?
There's not tape to study. You don't know his moves, and they might have
It's the
changed.
same
And
Which
I'm
is
reason
with
what I'm
you.
it's the
saying.
same
Which
reason
is
that
all I'm
Luca
saying
came in
is
going
why.
crazy. He was
Exactly.
overseas. You
So,
don't watch him.
so I'm
He come
again,
in.
even with me seeing him in here, and I'll say it like before he got here, it's no disrespect to him. What I'm saying is now, even small things as me watching Rock 9, 10, 11, 12 times a year as being other battlers, even being a fan, I'm seeing it so much, it's kind of diluting it.
Right. For me,
But he's
for
still
like how we're
averaging
talking,
40.
right, how we're talking basketball, it's like for me, it's like imagine Kevin Durant sits out for 2 years and then he comes back and drops 100 points. You're gonna be
Right.
like, holy shit, he's the
But you
best
knew
basketball
he
player I've
could
ever
do
seen.
that though. It wouldn't be no surprise because
But
you
he
know he can
really just
do
came
that.
and dropped.
Nah, that
But
it
he never
definitely
did
would
that
be a
before.
surprise because
He just came and really
Yeah,
dropped
that's a
yeah,
bad
100. You
that's a
exactly.
knew he
bad
could do
Yeah.
it,
analogy
but
though because
he just
nobody
dropped
but
You
one
100.
know what I'm
person has
saying?
done
So
100.
okay, so hypothetically, right? I hate doing
But
shit
I
like
don't
this.
think anybody's done that before Daylyt. That was the 100 point game to me.
Exactly. So
But that's
say he
opinionated.
did
And a
come to
100-point
your
game is
right,
statistical.
URL,
You
and
could
he
look up
do
and see that.
3 battles. You know what I'm saying? This shit
Yeah, I'm about to say
hypothetically.
that's
But
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
subjective because you can
but
statistically
what do
look
you
up.
mean? What do you mean subjective? You just made stats for Daylyt and Surf that were subjective.
No,
You
I
can't
know
make
what.
those
Yeah,
up.
and all you had to do was say that's subjective, and I would have said you're right. You said
Oh
that's
my
you.
god! So I use your same argument. Oh my
But
No,
but
but
god,
but
listen. But I
Greek, he
told
just
you what
did that with that
the
UR
difference was.
that's
argument.
crazy.
He just did that
The
with that
difference
UR
was you
argument. The
said. Listen,
percentage.
what I said was I made a subjective statement. The only difference is you didn't say it was subjective. What you just said was that was literally a hundred
Yeah.
point game for Daylyt. What Jinx said was that subjective because you cannot look up the stats and see that it's 100. What I said also, me too, was an analogy. All you had to do was say, "Surf." That's your analogy. I didn't disagree with you, but you
That
saying
was what I
literally
just said. That
that's
was your
literally his
So
analogy.
100
sir,
point game. It's not. It's only to you.
No, it was 63 points in 3 quarter, like the
so
Kobe game. That was the
so let me
Kobe
You get
ask
what
you
I'm
Kobe
this,
saying? Now
sir.
stat.
look, now Feezy say it's
Right.
63.
So
That's all we saying per
You
person.
niggas wildin'. I
So
gotta
then,
get out of
so
here.
let me ask you this, sir, because you
but
Hey,
said
now you got to
Light,
come back
take
to the
over,
everybody
theory
won.
of
man.
like what's
Take
more
over. Like
impressive.
Gray, like
Y'all
checking
was
out.
when y'all was talking
I
about
gotta
Kobe,
get out of here,
right?
my
You
nigga.
know what I'm saying? You said I'm 100% for the
Yeah,
nigga.
get
You
out
know
of
what
here.
I'm
Go
saying?
somewhere. Go back
We
to
can't
go
hear
back.
you over there from
We
Neptune.
can't hear you from Neptune, bro. Bye.
I see what's going on.
That nigga agree. That
I'll
nigga
hold it. I'll
greedy.
hold it down on Earth,
You
Light.
got me greedy.
That
Yeah,
nigga.
like I don't whether Daylight here or not, whether he's here or not,
All
with
right,
all respect to
I'm a.
Daylight's pen, that's not the argument about his pen. The argument is about like if Daylight was doing this, like even let's say now you talk about like a nigga B dot. We've seen B dot's pen in action how many times in the last 15 months? That's us showing that pen level at a consistent rate. B dot has been on URL more than Daylight. For somebody to act like Daylight is this alien of an
Sir,
outer world because of
sir,
only what he did to
I
Rock
love
sir,
you
is
guys.
not
I
fair.
gotta
sir,
go. I love you guys.
But
I
sir,
gotta
it's
go.
true enough.
And
But
sir.
hey,
Kobe
Like,
salute,
like,
did
look,
how
fam.
like,
many
I
for example,
love
battles?
you,
Trying
and
to
I
get this
love
up.
the narrative that you are assisting with.
Agreeing with you 100%.
But
I
I
just want you
dropped
to
the
really
30 on
understand
the 30
what's
nigga the first
subjective.
time I stepped on URL. I 30 niggas 30s.
wait, what?
Every
You see,
time I
you
stepped
pull
on
up, you pull up.
URL, I
This is
30
why
a
you have
niggas
them.
30.
This is why you have them tricked
This
right
ain't
now.
new,
What the fuck are
dog.
you saying? What does that
Go.
mean?
This ain't new, Surf. Don't like y'all niggas gotta stop painting this narrative. Every time you put a nigga that means
I
something in front
30
of me,
niggas 30. What the fuck does
hey,
that
you
mean?
could be the best you ever, and I 30 it. That's what it means.
Oh, a gentleman's 30. Oh, I said, yeah, okay. So wait, oh, you after before
Sir,
Rock, what was
we
it?
can't, no, we can't paint this narrative
Like,
that's the first time I did
and
that. We
that's the
can't.
no, listen. No, you're pulling up on the tail end of the story. Niggas already gave your hat, they hats off and
Okay, thank
kudos
you. All right,
to your
I'm quiet.
pen.
I'm quiet.
Yeah, niggas gave your hats, they
Nigga,
hats
Daylyt
off
out
into your
there with
kudos to your
Elon
pen.
Musk.
It was never said that that was the
So
first time
what's
that
the argument? What is the argument?
the argument was niggas
You don't have a better
downplaying.
pen than Rock.
That was not the argument. That's how I know.
Nah,
Once you
no,
start
that
hearing
wasn't.
pen and you hear Daylyt, you get your panties in a bunch.
Um,
You hear pen and you hear Daylyt, and
you definitely said Rock
you
had a
just
better
start sweating.
pen.
No, I did not.
Def.
What I what I said was, as far as Daylight's pen, you cannot downplay his pen compared to Rock. And I wasn't even comparing the two versus each other. What I said was the level that I've seen Daylight's pen reach. I've seen Rock's pen reach on multiple occasions. So now, let's say Daylyt did more than Rock in that battle, which I keep using numbers to make it make more sense. Daylyt scores 60 that game, Rock scores 50. But then I also seen Rock versus Charlie, Rock versus Twerk, Rock versus this one. So a nigga, so now even if we want to look at stats and a nigga total points this year scored. So if you look up and Daylyt got that 70 points from that game, and then his other 30s that y'all want to add in. But Rock is 50-point game here, 40-point game there. How are we downplaying somebody's pen? At the end of the day, you have to
Because the
write
pen
to
isn't all
battle
that goes
rap.
I have a
into it.
slight question. Can I ask you a question, sir? Respectfully.
Like, how are you? What do you? How? Yeah, of course you could 40. Like,
This
you
has
have to
nothing to do with
write these
Daylyt and stuff, but
rounds.
I